What is going on, guys? Today we're back, and I'm actually not doing a showdown live as per usual. So I kind of had an idea of something I wanted to do, and basically it was, what are the top 10 Pokemon, not like a top 10 like a traditional non-competitive type thing, but what are the top 10 Pokemon in ORAS OU right now? So before I get into this list, I just want to say on this list there are no Mega Evolutions, because even though Megas are very good, obviously stuff like Scissor, Lopunny, Metagross, fantastic Pokemon, they're not top 10 all around, because once you put that Mega on your team pretty much builds around the Mega in a sense, or you have to have specific glues to help the Mega Evolution. So a Mega, I don't see any Mega Evolution that even scratches the surface of top 10. The only one that I would ever give it like attention to is Scissor, or maybe Lopunny, but even those two, you can't just build your random Scissor build, you have to build around it, you have to have good fire checks for Tran, that kind of thing. So they're two what's it called, like centralizing towards the team, and the 10 Pokemon I picked for this list are basically what can do the most, what just the best Pokemon that you can put on the team and that kind of thing. So it's kind of just quick Pokemon analysis, but I really wanted to do this video just because it seemed like a lot of fun. So the 10th Pokemon I have, I'm gonna start from the beginning, or I guess from the left to the top. It's gonna be Garchomp. So you see that thing on your screen. I think Chomp is I don't actually like Garchomp that much, but if we're talking about what is the best, the top 10, I think we have to put Garchomp in there just because of how much Garchomp can do. I mean, the premier set right now is the Rocky Helmet defensive set, and that set is really good. Although it's kind of getting overshadowed by Landorus, which can do its job a little bit better, mainly because Intimidate is so good and U-Turn is also fantastic. But Garchomp is not something to sleep on. Like Jam, for example, just adores Tank Chomp, but he likes playing the whole mind game system with it. Because like they'll never really attack you with their Scissor and that kind of thing, because you know, Helmet Chomp in the back, that kind of thing. But Chomp is really good at what it can do. I mean, it does get up rocks pretty easily, and while it's not that great of a counter to stuff like Bisharp and Scissor, it can kind of, you know, put them on the edge for a little bit. Same thing if you pack Toxic, you can hit Rotom Wash on the switch in, you can stop Talonflame, that kind of thing. So Chomp does have its uses for sure. A set that I've also been really liking as of late, I've been using it in lives every now and then, is the Life Orb set, Swords Dance 3 attack with Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Fire Fang. It's really nice versus balance. What am I trying to say? Specifically the type of sand balances you see, where it's like Mega Latios, Gliscor, Ferrothorn, T-Tar, Slowbro, Clef, or like Tran over Slowbro, like those like fatty, like sand balanced sort of things. So if they initially saw a Chomp, they'd be like, okay, whatever. They'd go into their Clef, they'd go into their Gliscor, they'd wall it. But if your Swords Dance Life Orb, they have very few countermeasures they can do for that set. The only thing they could really do is scare you out with Latios or that kind of thing. So it's very nice when people rely on cores that just are kind of Dragon Weak in general, because when people run Dragon checks, they run Tran and they run Jirachi, because the two premier dragons in OU are just Latios and Latias, and I guess Zard X, but I mean, you can't really counter Zard X without a Mega Slowbro or a Landorus T anyway. But yeah, SD is very nice on Chomp. One of my actual favorite new sets that I've been using a lot is Swords Dance Slackberry with Endure. My friend TDK, I mean, this set's probably been made in the past. I know it was cool in Black White, but he gave me a team with it, and I really liked it. It's really fun. Makes for lots of surprises. Other than that, with Chomp, I mean, you can go Mega. It's not very good, but it obviously has its placings. I mean, I got 6-0'd by one in SPL. Like, it can work. Other cool sets are Mixed. I think Mixed is really fun. My friend ABR actually just used it in a tournament game, and it worked pretty well for him. He went like Life Orb Outrage Draco was really nice, mainly because Landorus is just everywhere. Being able to hit that thing up with a Draco Meteor and take off 70-ish% is just fantastic. It helps a lot. It's pretty much only for Landorus. Like everything else, you're gonna want to hit with Outrage anyway. But I mean, hey, that's really nice, because then it can't check any physical threat you have in the back. So if you pair it with something like Lopunny, it ends up really nice. The last option you can really kind of go with this is Choice Scarf, and I've seen people using that more and more often. I don't like it that much. I mean, its biggest selling point is the fact that it has Outrage, but I find Chomp to be a tad bit weak, and with the rise of Landorus T just everywhere, I don't know, like I hate taking Helmet, I hate Ferrothorn and Skarm. Skarm's always going to be high up there. I'm not like a huge fan of it. But yeah, basically what I'm trying to say is Chomp definitely deserves its spot at number 10. It's a very good Pokemon. Should it be getting up rocks, or should it be using as an offensive threat? But I think it's fine at its place at 10 and not any higher, just because a lot of stuff beats it. Mega Sableye, Clef, Slowbro, Landorus, Mandibuzz, for example, Quag if you're not mixed. Fairy types in general kind of smash it, because it can only go for an EQ. So bulkier stuff like Mega Altaria, even though that thing's pretty bad, can use it as setup fodder. Not to mention Clef, one of the best. You know, you'll see him on the list later up. You guys already know he's top 10. Clef kind of messes with it unless it's Swords Dance. So other than that though, Chomp is a very, very solid mon, so definitely deserving of its spot. I picked for number 10, I think. So number 9, I was kind of confused. I wasn't really sure what to put here at first. In fact, I actually had Mega Scissor, but I was like, nah, Scissor it's not top 10 at all. So I decided, I went back and I looked over basically my stats, like what I decided I picked, because again, it's just all my opinion. I put Ferrothorn there because I'm going by tournaments and that kind of thing, and what it does. Like if I go by ladder, obviously Bisharp would be like top 3 on this list, but Bisharp is nowhere near a top 3 all-around competitive Pokemon. For going by tournament, that's what I'm trying to do, like a full competitive analysis, because ladder and tournament are kind of different, and ladder is a lot. Because if I'm going by ladder, I'm obviously going to have like Mega Sableye, Quagsire, Chansey, and Bisharp, and Talonflame as my top 5, and like that's not a good representation of the metagame. But basically, I really wanted to put Ferrothorn here. Ferrothorn has just been the king, I guess, for like so many gens now. Well, not so many gens, but for so many years when Black and White came out. It's been very, very good. It's fantastic at what it does, and it's just like you can do a lot. Like even Curse, for example, Joey used that in OST versus White Queen. It won. Jam has used it in the past. Like obviously, that's more of a rare niche set, but Ferrothorn can actually do a lot. Jam loves that thing mainly because spikes are so good in ORAS OU. Like I cannot stress enough how good spikes are. And yeah, you think because defog is out there that it's like so much better. Like the hazards aren't that big of a deal, but to be honest, I feel that spikes are even worse in this metagame, even with the rise of defog, because you have very, very few options for good spinners. You have Latios and Latios, who are not good at defogging. They get trapped by Tar. They get trapped because Weavile is now everywhere, and people love the Bandit set. It's just Heatrans everywhere. Latios and Latios they're good Pokemon, but they're not good at defogging. I hate using them for defog, but sometimes a team just forces that kind of build and you have to do it. So if you pack Ferrothorn with something like T-Tar or just any form of, because if you're running spikes, you're obviously going to run something that punishes Pokemon that like the defog. Should it be some fast offensive threat like Lopunny, for example, or like a Life Orb Tornado, something like that just loves spikes. People can't switch into their checks on Pokemon like that because they'll be taking like 20-ish%, and now you're getting to a KO'd by their coverage move. So spikes are just really, really good in general, which is why I wanted to put Ferrothorn here. On top of that, water resists are so good. It checks Azu. It kind of checks Kel just because, I mean, majority are specs and they don't really go for the Secret Sword and that kind of thing. They just click Scald mindlessly. It's good because it's like its typing is so good. The fact that it can check Latios and Latias, and it really does mess with bulkier stuff like Tar, like T-Tar, Lati, Gliscor type stuff. It can just kind of leech seed, switch around to like your good check and that kind of thing. It's very, very nice when paired with Calvillo, because Calvillo can come in on Tran and Sizz and just like stuff that sets up on it. And basically, yeah, I mean, Ferrothorn doesn't have too many options really, but Stealth Rock and the Spike set are just, I mean, they're fantastic at what they do, and Ferrothorn will pretty much always do something unless you're playing Mega Sableye. And that's why it's not higher up on the list, because if you do run in the stall, it's very, very, like, it's not going to be doing much unless you're a knockoff Ferrothorn. Knockoff Ferrothorn actually does have potential versus stall. I mean, Sableye will still beat you, but knocking off Amoonguss and that kind of thing, you can kind of, like, you know, do some stuff. But I mean, yeah, Ferrothorn, it's a timeless Pokemon. It's very, very good at what it does, so I put it at number 9 on this list. Number 8, now this, the next Pokemon, I put Tyranitar here. Now, Tyranitar, I used to not really like it that much. Like Tyranitar is obviously like the king of like Gen 3, 4, and 5, but I wasn't too confident if I wanted to put it in this list, at least at number 8. But I figured it definitely is deserving of it. Now, let me preface this by saying I think Rock's Tyranitar, Stealth Rock, is not that good of a set. I actually used it a few times in SPL, I think, like 2 or 3 times. I used it another tournament, and it's not that good at what it does, like at what it's supposed to do. Getting up rocks, it's just not that good at it. I've just come to the realization. Like T-Tar, support Tar is very, very weak, and I would literally never use that thing without Thunder Wave. Like, I don't know, like it just gives a lot of stuff free switch-ins like Landorus and stuff like that, and it's so weak that you can get away with switching in your Scissor and stuff like that. Even like defoggers like Mandibuzz and Zapdos, like those Pokemon don't exist. You can definitely beat it with that if they don't run attack EVs, because you can just roost off Stone Edge with ease. And then you're forced to run something like Ice Beam to take on like Landorus. It's not good, because then like what's even the point of running all that coverage? Your main thing for a support Tar should be to trap the Latios, but I don't know. It's like, I mean, Choppletar, Choppletar with max attack is a set that I actually do like. It's like a little bit of speed, max attack, and then a lot of HP. You can get up rocks, and you can also make sure you hit hard. You trap Latios. You also beat Megazam thanks to Choppleberry. Choppleberry lets you also tank Life Orb Tornadus, so that set is definitely acceptable, the Chopple set, but anything other than that, like Smooth Rock for example, I don't like that set anymore. Megatar, pretty underrated threat, no one really uses it anymore. I mean, hey, I think it could, what's the word? Have some kind of merit, but honestly, the main set I want to talk about in here is Choice Band. Choice Band Tyranitar is just, it rose so fast in the last couple months, like I'd say the last 6-7 months, SPL time. Choice Band Tyranitar rose like anything because it is so good at its job. I used it in, what's it called? I used it versus X-Ray in that Smog Tour round 1. It did very, very well. It killed so many Pokemon. It's so good at what it does right now because you put in enough HP, it can get Lottie. Nothing resists dark anymore. That's good. Like, you can't go near Keldeo on a T-Tar. They crunch, they do 40. They Stone Edge, they do 55. Like, it's not a good switch in. It's really, really nice because people are always like running annoying stuff like Slowbro and Ferrothorn, and like you can't switch those into crunch. Ferrothorn's taking like 45. Slowbro's just gonna die unless it's Mega. Ice Punches are really nice. I like to run that a lot because you can just snipe Landorus T and get that thing out the way. Other options, I guess you have Aqua Tail. I mean, you'll hit Hippowdon, but that thing's garbage anyway. And there's also Superpower, which is really, really nice just to take down Tran, and I guess other T-Tar. But mainly, the big thing about Choice Band Tar is that it's really, really nice in combination with Spikes and just, I guess, bulk your offense team. Like Jam's team, for example, that team that I just love so much, with the Serp and the Talonflame. It's really nice. You get rid of Tran, and then you're getting a lot of mileage out of the Talonflame, the Serp, and the Scissor because you just got rid of that Tran. So I think T-Tar is definitely good right now. I just like Sand is also really good. It's just Bandit is really, really good right now. I think a couple of months ago, if you asked me if I thought T-Tar was top 10, I'd tell you no, like very firmly. And I guess we'll see in the coming months where this thing's usage will be. But right now, I think Tar is definitely worth being in the top 10. So number 7, I put Tornadus T. Now Torn is really, really, really good. Like that's just the best way to say it. Tornadus can do a lot. I used to think it was kind of overrated, but as of late, it's just been doing a lot. Especially the AV set has come back, and it's just been annoying. People loved like Life Orb for a little bit, but as of late, it's just been getting really, really annoying again with AV. Obviously, it's good because of its speed. It's taking down Lottie, both Lotties, regular Zam, Keldeo. It can switch into. Well, that's if you're running a good spread. People have some weird set that they like to run with max special attack, max speed AV, which is like the worst set ever. Like, you don't switch into anything. Keldeo Hydro Pump from Scarf to it KOs you. Like, the best spread is max HP, max speed on Assault Vest or Life Orb. So it's like, it's really, really, really nice, Torn right now. I'm just like a big fan in general. Mainly of, what's it called, Life Orb right now. Like, for example, if you guys have seen, actually, I'm gonna bring the replay up. Hold on, let me just pull this up right now, just to give you an example of Life Orb Torn. Finchinator versus Jam for the SP, the World Cup game they had. Let me pull that up. Alright, right here. As you can see, okay, I guess I'll have to, like, I don't know, change the dimensions. But anyway, okay, so you look at Jam's team. So lead, Gastron, and then Hurricanes, and then he taunts right here. So Jam ended up winning this game. I'm not going to go into a game analysis because that's not what this video is. But look how threatening Tornadus is to this team. Magneton, O-Code, Pinsir, O-Code, what's it called, Tangrowth, O-Code. Latios cannot switch in. Hurricane does around 70-ish. If it has Knock or U-Turn, it's going to be very, very hard. Tran cannot take a Superpower or Focus Blast well at all. Even Spadef is 2-hit KO'd. So, I mean, it's really, really good versus bulkier teams. Look at Finch's team, for example. It's just as weak. Landorus T, one-shotted by HP Ice, takes up to 80 from Hurricane because he's a Scarf variant. Scissor, Heat Waved. Keldeo dies. Latios, slower, 2-hit KO'd, can't switch in. Tran, 2-hit KO'd. His Torn's Life Orb, that thing's just going to die. Like, it's... If you play it correctly, and you don't just like willy-nilly throw out Hurricanes, risking it around, Life Orb Torn is one of the biggest threats, period. Very, very good. AV in general is kind of nice. Like, AV Torn would have been really nice versus Finch, I'd say. You could come in on Sizz and Keldeo and Tran and Latios and even Landorus if it's not Stone Edging. And just kind of annoy his team, knock everything off. It's not as good versus Jam's team just because, like, Gastron's going to burn you, and Tran is just not going to really be hurt too hard, I guess. And even if you knock off Gastro, it doesn't matter because it can recover, so it's going to have a much easier time. But Torn in general is just, it's one of the best for sure. What else can I say about this thing? I don't want to like not give it its proper, I guess, reasoning. Mainly knockoff. Knockoff is super, super big. The the fact that it can annoy fat teams, although being super weak, and the fact that even offense can get cleaned up by it with like a simple set of like U-turn, Heat Wave, knockoff, and then Hurricane, or Superpower over Heat Wave. I mean, it is kind of beat down pretty easily by stuff like Tar. Even Superpower from AV does like absolutely nothing. Diancie, for example, is going to threaten it out quite easily. And then stuff like Clef is just comes in forever. Electric types aren't that big. Like Zapdos isn't used that much. Thunderous isn't used too much. I guess Mega Main, but I mean, yeah, it's fine. Other than that, yeah, I mean, you just gotta play. I feel like Torn is one of those mons that people think that they can just throw into every attack and just kind of play stupidly, like kind of Clef wise. But I think I think it's one of those mons that you really need to play carefully, especially AV and Life Orb. You need to really understand like what you're gonna need it for, and you can't just throw it in front of harm's way. Like you can't go switch that thing into like a Keldeo fighting move because it resists and that kind of thing. You need to play very smart. You have to use regen to your advantage. You need to get the rocks out of the way immediately, even with Regenerator, because you just want to get the most out of that thing, and it is actually pretty frail. But the fact that it can kind of solo, I didn't even touch this, the fact that Life Orb Torn can solo stall pretty much on its own with Taunt, Superpower, Hurricane, and Knockoff is ridiculous. That is just insane. I mean, you can run Heat Wave over Taunt, but I really like Taunt in general, and Heat Wave's really only there for Scarm. Superpower, Hurricane, Knockoff is going to beat everything else anyway. So yep, let me just move on to the next mon. Okay, so the sixth mon I wanted to talk about is none other than Rotom Wash. This is what I consider the sixth best Pokemon in ORAS right now. Rotom is very good. I've been using it a lot lately for I haven't really been playing too many important matches as of late. These tournaments are kind of dying down in general, but Rotom is very good right now. It's very easy to throw on a team. What it can do for an offense team is so good. Offense is usually very weak to stuff like Scissor, because they only usually pack one thing like a Keldeo, and stuff like Talon is always very annoying, so Rotom is really nice for that. Rotom just beats so much right now in the meta. Like Landorus T, the most used Pokemon, gets beaten. You can switch into Keld, I guess, kind of, like once on a water type move. That's not really that good. Good versus Tran, good versus Torn. It beats Ferrothorn, Skarmory, Jirachi, all those like defensive steals. You take on Drill in Sand, which is huge. You beat Slowbro, you beat Talonflame, you beat Metagross because they're starting to not run Zen Headbutt as much. And you just check so much. Like it's one of the most fantastic Pokemon. Rotom alone isn't like amazing, but Volt Switch is so big, and the fact that most teams don't have much to switch into Will-O-Wisp. Like Rotom's always paired with something that threatens Latios, like Metagross or T-Tar, even Weavile, because Weavile loves the free switches, and people usually they only have like 1 or 2 switch-ins to Rotom, and most of the time Ferrothorn doesn't work out well, so you can really only run Clefable, Superior, or Latios, and all of which are pretty Steel weak, pretty Tran weak, pretty Metagross weak. Like it's hard to stop something like Rotom plus Metagross or Rotom plus Medicham. If you guys remember, I think back to that game I had versus CBB for SPL 7 where I 6-0'd him. Basically just, well, that was kind of Volt Turn as a whole, but Rotom had a huge part in that. Like the whole like fact that you can get initiative off of Rotom is just huge. And it's just a very good one in general. It recovers pretty easily. It can take on most bulkier builds like these Hippo, Diancie, Pharaoh, Talons type stuff. It's very annoying for them, and people hate having their counter burned, like Serp and Latios, because then you're forced to roost. You're gonna lose to their other, like whatever they have in the back that you're meant to kind of deal with because you're burned. And it's Rotom is really just mainly it's just a nuisance for teams to deal with. A fantastic Pokemon though, very easy to fit on a team, and that's why I thought it was pretty deserving of the 6th best. So what I have for 5th, I kind of thought whether this should be the 6th best instead of the 5th best, but I put Heatran. Now Heatran is pretty much only has one good set right now. Well, no, it has 2 good sets, I lied. The specially defensive set, so just Lava Plume, Toxic Taunt, Rocks. There are 2 options for this really. People have started to run a max speed, max HP variant. That set is pretty good. I mean, you retain some bulk, and you're also fast, which is just nice in general. The speed's actually kind of cool because you beat Adamant Excadrill, which is horrible. If your opponent runs that, you should just tell them they're bad. But it also takes on fast Mega Scissor, which is also pretty rare, but the speed in general is just nice. You're faster than Rotom, Suicune, like Venusaurs, that kind of thing, and it's nice to have that kind of speed. But running max special defense is still really good. You easily check electric types then. Latios cannot do anything to you unless it's packing Surf. Gengar and shit like that has to rely on Focus Blast. It's still like you switch in a little bit easier with the Spadef, and it's just really nice in general what Heatran can do. Like it's taking on Latios, which are That thing is higher up on my list. You already know. Latios is fantastic. And it threatens like Skarmory and Pharaoh and stuff like that. Taunt is just obnoxious, and like people just overlook its greatest thing. It beats Clef. Well, it beats Clef. Well, nothing really beats Clef thanks to Thunder Wave, great move. But the fact that it has Lava Plume too, which burns and that kind of thing. Heatran is just a very annoying. It takes on Mega Charizard X if they're not running Earthquake. Takes on grass types in general, like Tangrowth, those bulky, annoying Pokemon. Beats Sableye if you burn it. One of the few Stealth Rockers that can beat Mega Sableye, and that is fantastic. Stealth Rock Tran is one of the only Rockers besides Stealth Rock Clef that can do a Sableye, and that's pretty big. But yeah, Tran is the second best set for it. I think would be the Magma Trapper set, which I find really good. It's just a max special attack invested, Magma Storm, Taunt, Earth Power, Toxic. It's very nice. You trap Chansey, you can taunt Toxic it, kill it. Do it with bulkier waters, that kind of thing. Magma Storm is, even though it's only 100 base power, it's still quite strong. And yeah, it's like a very nice set to use to just destroy balance. Like Skarm, Gastro, Tangrowth, Latios, Ground, plus another Pokemon sort of balance would just get destroyed by that, because you Magma Storm their water type, now they're trapped in there and they're taking residuals. You switch to your counter, they're forced to recover, losing more initiative, you Toxic them on the switch, all that good stuff. Tran becomes very hard to deal with. Other sets for Tran are like Choice Scarf, but I don't know. I don't value that set too high. I think Choice Scarf is quite average, honestly. The meta's like, shit's just really bulky, and I do not like Scarf at all. I mean, yeah, but Chomp is about as good as it can be at 5. I mean, stuff like, water types just beat it pretty easily, like Keldeo and Azu. Rotom doesn't really always win versus it, because Toxic, and you gotta rely on Pump. But stuff like Manaphy and Gara, defensive Starmie is rising a little bit too. And like, yeah, that's good. Like, Heatran's not too over centralizing. Of course, you have Landorus T, which also keeps it in check. Keld, Lopunny, that kind of thing. The best thing I would say versus Heatran though is probably knockoff. If you knock off a Tran, it's just really hard for it to do what it would have done. Like, a Heatran without leftovers to me has lost like 75% of what it can do. Because like, if you knock it off, then it has to switch into rocks. Heatran has no good recovery. Might as well just start running Rest Talk at that point. But yeah, Heatran deserves the number 5th spot on this list, so let's just move on to number 4. So we got none other than the king, Calvillo. So I had trouble with this, deciding between this and number 3, which is going to be Latios. I'll talk about that later. But I put Calvillo here basically because you guys already know what Calvillo do. It is the most brain-dead Pokemon in OU. You run Specs, or you run Scarf, or you run Rest Talk, I guess. I don't know. I think Rest Talk's pretty bad. People use Rest Talk because, what's it called? They want to take on like dark types like Bisharp and Weavile and start Dark Switching. It's not bad, but it's not that good. Sub-CM is pretty average right now, but yeah, Specs Calvillo is just so stupid because of Scald. It pretty much changes the entire game. Not just because, like, and like, that's not, I'm just throwing that phrase out there. It changes the game because it changes how you play. In fact, I honestly believe that Scald makes people play worse. Like, I can have a Latios in the back, and it can be the most obvious switch into your Calvillo, and half the people will still click Scald instead of Icy Wind. Icy Wind could take my Latios to 40% and force the switch, but they'll Scald every time just to go for the brain dead burn. And I honestly believe Scald just makes people play worse. But it's Scald, so like, you can't. Scald's the reason your Venusaur is gonna lose to Specs Calvillo and that kind of thing. Anyway, its coverage is stupid. The fact that with 2 moves it beats everything besides Starmie is dumb. The fact that you can pair Calvillo with Metagross and T-Tar and just those Lati Crushers, it just makes it so hard to deal with. People have started running Focus Blast too to just one-hit KO Rotom, which is what people on offense use as like kind of like a shaky check. Calvillo is really hard to deal with. Like, one of the best Pokemon. Scald is so good, deals with Sableye and stuff like that. Bulkier stuff in general. Like Stall, for example, would get 6-0'd unless they run a Mungus. Mungus is just going to get burned. You find an opportunity to knock that thing off or trap it with like a Banded Pursuit. In general, it's going to be really tough. So yeah, that's why I put Calvillo at number 4. Like, there's not really too much to talk about Calvillo. It's a pretty cut and dry Pokemon. You send it in, you quick Scald, you burn your opponent's counter, they get mad at you, you say part of the game, and you move on. Like, Calvillo is just, it's, I hate it. I hate dealing with it. I love using it. It's very good Pokemon. I used like 6 of them in SPL. Out of 11 games, I used it like 6 times. It's very good Pokemon. I'm not the biggest fan of Scarf, but Scarf is really good with Pursuit support. Specs doesn't need Pursuit at all because you're just going to kill everything, but Scarf with Pursuit is awesome. So yeah, Calvillo, you know, it's just the beast. So number 3, I already told you guys, I put Latios there. Okay, I don't like Latios that much. I think it's quite an average Pokemon. If you're forcing it to run Defog, if you force Defog Latios on your team, I think Latios is one of the worst users of Defog, and it's so unfortunate because it's one of the only good Pokemon that get it. Like, Defog Skarm is not that good of a set. Starmie is hard to fit on, because it has no offensive presence at all. Excadrill is a bad spinner in general, and you force a sand build then, unless you run Scarf Drill, in which case then you're going to force a hyper offensive build, and it's just spinners and removal in general is really, really hard to do. So people think it's just easy to put it on Latios, and that's why people run Defog Mega Latias, but don't even get me started on that Pokemon. Mega Latias is garbage. But yeah, basically I put Latios at number 3 just because of how much it can take on. Latios is very, very popular. It was one of the most popular Pokemon in Smogon Tour this year. I think it had like 27% usage rate. Like, that's ridiculous. It's a very, very good mon. I mean, I don't have to tell you that though. Like, everyone knows what Latios does. My ultimate favorite set with this thing is Draco Meteor, Psyshock, HP Fire Roost, or Draco Meteor, Psyshock, Calm Mind Roost. Very, very cool sets. Specs is also actually pretty cool as well, which people don't really give too much respect to, but you can just click Psyshock into a KO their Clef. Draco is not easy to switch into. You can't just switch in your Bantar anymore, like it's gonna get to a KO, that kind of thing. And even though Latios has its nuisances, for one, Pursuit from Weavile, T-Tar, and then Metagross doesn't run Pursuit, but it resists anyway, and stuff like Torn and Tran, it's still like it's the king. The speed, the power, Latios is just awesome. The resists, man. Water, fire, electric, ground. Like, the fact that that Pokemon can wall that is fantastic. You run HP Fire to deal with Skarm and Pharaoh, and like, you have one of the best breakers in the game. It's very, very hard to deal with. Even then, I mean, you can run Jirachi, Gardevoir, Clefairy. Like, it's kept at bay very nicely, but versus like a weatherless type of team, it's rare that Latios will do nothing versus your opponent unless they have like a Chansey. So yeah, and also the fact that it pretty much beats like Keldeo, Latios. Like, well, it doesn't really beat other Latios, but like it beats Keldeo, Landorus, Rotom type stuff. It's an electric, like, just that dragon type and that resists the big 4 of electric, grass, fire, water is just phenomenal. And I guess fighting too with psychic. So yeah, Latios is definitely deserving of number 3. It just does too much in the meta right now, and it's just such an easy Pokemon to pretty much splash on your offense and you know, get rid of hazards, have the good resistances. So the second Pokemon I have here, the second and first Pokemon, I like really thought about whether what to do with these two. But number 2 is Clefable. This Pokemon needs no introduction. The amount it can do is just insane. You got Calm Mind T-Wave, you got Calm Mind Flamethrower, you got Calm Mind Knockoff, you got Stealth Rock Knockoff. You have T-Wave to attack, you got Stealth Rock Flamethrower, Stealth Rock T-Wave. Like, it can do so much, and it's so good that like you can even run Unaware. Like, it's crazy. Unaware is pretty bad, but yeah, I even saw someone in what's it called? Smogon Tour used the set of Moonblast, Focus Blast, T-Bolt, Soft Bolt, Max Special Attack, Max HP to success. Like, it destroyed this dude's core. He had Amoonguss, Hippowdon, Skarmory, and he like his Amoonguss only had Clear Smog, so it couldn't even do too much damage to Clefable, and it was taking like 25 from Moonblast. He went into his Hippo, he took 55 from Moonblast. Clef can do way too much, and that's really, really frustrating for most teams to deal with. But yeah, I put him at number 2 because, I mean, Calm Mind Clef and Clef in general is just really, really hard to deal with. I mean, everyone knows it. You can prep all you want. You can run the Heatran, but what if it's Calm Mind Bolt Beam? Then your Heatran's useless. What if you get T-Waved on the switch? Then it's useless. You need extensive measures to Clef. People say that it's like overrated now and that people are prepping more and more, but that's truly not it. A well-played Clef is so hard to take on because people are dumb and they switch their Clef into like random T-Bolts and take like 50% and that kind of thing. Like, why? Why are you like, what, Clef is a wall, but like, if you see your opponent's team and all they have is a Heatran, all you need to do is knock that thing off because you probably have support for it, or just get a T-Wave off on it, get it weakened, and you'll, like, Clefable will throttle. Like, it does way too much in the meta. It's way too hard to deal with. I will never say it's broken. People think it's broken. For some reason, that's dumb. It definitely has its checks, but Clefable is definitely, in my opinion, the second best Pokemon. It's very, very easy to throw on a team, and you will always, always, always get results with it. Unless your opponent has, like, Quagsire, and even then, like, you'll probably crit it twice because you're using Clefable, and that Pokemon for some reason will always give the player with it like insane luck. But yeah, Clefable will rarely ever not do something great for you in your battle, and it's just crazy. Okay, so the last Pokemon I have here is Landorus T. Like, there's no build up to it. It's Landorus T. I'm not saying Landorus T is the best mon. Well, I think it might actually be the best mon in OU. Obviously, there are other Pokemon. Okay. Let me say my piece on Landorus, and then I'll get into the other stuff. Landorus T, I put him as number 1 because of how much he can do also, and the fact that, actually, he can't even do that much. It's Scarf, there's Double Dance,
which isn't even used that much, and there's defensive. Scarf and defensive. First of all, Landorus T is probably the best Scarfer in the game, alongside Jirachi, Keldeo, Tarak, and I guess Garchomp, but Garchomp's not that good. But Scarf Landorus is fantastic. Intimidate is so good. Even though Landorus only has that 90 base defense, his HP is sky high, and it just beats everything. Like I remember I used to hate on Tank Chomp so much because people were like, ha ha ha, like you use it to counter like 4 of your opponent's physical threats, and it can't actually do that. But Landorus actually is that guy, and he can actually, it just beats everything. Helmet is so frustrating. U-turn is so frustrating. If they have SD, EQ, Stone Edge, Rocky Helmet, like your walls, like your Skarmory, Hippo, Grass Core isn't safe. Like, it's such an easy Pokemon to throw on any, like if you need rocks, the first thing that's coming to your mind is Landorus T. But then if you don't have that, you're gonna be like, oh, Heatran. So it's such an easy Pokemon to just fit on your team, get those rocks up, deal with Talonflame, stuff like that. It's just, God, Landorus T is the best mon in the game. Like, I mean, it's like the biggest, it's like the most spam Pokemon, so obviously people are gonna be like, oh yeah, like blah 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 blah, you can deal with it, etc. But Landorus T, it's so solid at what it does. It takes on almost every single physical attacker. It can even take on stuff like Azumarill. Like the Intimidate plus its HP, it's just Landorus T. I can go on about it forever. It is so good. Of course, it is stopped by stuff like Latios and Keldeo and Rotom and that kind of thing. But even the offensive sets are quite threatening. Like Scarf, for example. If you can get away rocks on your side of the field and get them off, Landorus will just U-turn on your opponent's team forever. It's super strong. Those EQs are really, really tough to deal with. Like Landorus T plus Magnezone was something I ran in the past. Scarf, Landorus T plus Specs Magnezone. You kill their Skarm, Pharaoh, whatever they have, and it's like, what are they switching into EQ? But yeah, I mean, there's not too much to go into for Landorus. You guys know exactly what it does. It fills up way too many holes for teams. First of all, the electric and ground immunities are crazy. Resisting fighting and poison and just dealing with literally every fighting type besides Keldeo is awesome. Like it's fantastic. You can even run lures. Like someone ran HP Fire, that's garbage. But someone ran HP Ice, which is really good. I've used HP Ice in the past to snipe other Landos and to just give you a testament to how like used Landorus is in Smogon 2 or 21. In the regular weeks of that, Landorus T had 40% usage. That means on 2 and 5 teams packed Landorus T. That's ridiculous to think about. But in the fast, like ORAS is such a fast game that like you want to get that Landorus in, you want to get the U-turn, and momentum can change the entire game like that. And U-turn on this thing, that's why Rotom is also so good, because like the Volt turn between these defensive Pokemon, people are hard pressed to find a good switch into this, and the fact that it actually has a usable attacking stat makes it really, really frustrating. So yep, that's pretty much it. What I want to say before I end the list is, of course, it's my opinion. This is what I consider the top 10 best Pokemon. Best in the sense that they can do the most, you can put them on the most teams, and they will get you the most results. Obviously, stuff like Medicham, Gardevoir, Scissor, Metagross are insane Pokemon that will throttle your opponent most of the time, but there are times when those Pokemon aren't what you need to put on your team. They also constrict the build. Like there are so many good Pokemon, so I just said the 10 that I consider the best. Like, I mean, I don't know. Second place nomination, Skarm. Like, maybe that's like the 11th best in my opinion, whatever. But hope you guys enjoyed this. I mean, I just did it for fun. I don't think this video was that well scripted, honestly. But I was kind of bored of playing Showdown, so I thought I'd just do this. And I didn't want to make some like cliche 5-minute top 10 half-assed video. I wanted to actually kind of talk about stuff. So, yep, let me know what you guys think if you liked it. And later, guys. Peace.